Some say Decatur was an accident, beginning as a few scattered farms in central Illinois. Its roots trace back to 1820, when fur trapper and honey gatherer William Downing built a house on the south bank of Sangamon River. The settlers spent most of their time and resources caring for the land and water by creating economic incentives to promote conservation practices. Throughout the upcoming years, Decatur flourished into one of Illinois' most accomplished cities. But as the 20th century drew to a close, Decatur underwent many changes as it went from prosperity to poverty. Decatur's destiny changed when the community became the first railroad intersection in Illinois, with the Wabash Railroad coming from the west and the Illinois Central coming from the north. In 1907, at the peak of railroad travel, 72 trains a day stopped in Decatur. Familiar names of trains that made regular runs through Decatur were the Bluebird, the Banner Blue, and the Green Diamond. Wabash railroads proved to be especially productive, competing fiercely with Illinois Central. By the mid-1920s, the Wabash Railroad was the city's largest employer, providing jobs for over 1,500 Decaturrites. In addition to Decatur's Central Railroad system, the community claimed fame to the early version of the city's subway, called the Interurban, a traction system that revolutionized personal transportation and mail. This electric train contributed to the decline of the horse and buggy system, which was common in the early 1900s. The system further decreased when the city buses came on the scene in 1924, and automobiles took the stage. Decatur's symbol, the Transfer House, originally located at the center of Decatur in Lincoln Square, served as a shelter for those waiting for streetcars and buses. Heavy traffic flow problems eventually led the city council to have the Transfer House moved to Central Park in 1962, marking the end of an era. Now the Transfer House remains only as a sentimental reminder of the past. The use of buses and increasing popularity of automobiles led, in addition, to the eventual decline in the popularity of Decatur railroads. These innovations in transportation, despite later diminished use, led Decatur to a rapid growth in population, construction, and industry. Known as a blue-collar town, Decatur has been economically dependent on industry since the early days of its foundation. The population surge following the expansion of the city's railroads created a need for industries and businesses to provide jobs and comforts to Decatur citizens. This need, combined with convenient local agriculture, led many companies to seek Decatur as their headquarters. The city continued to grow exponentially, especially after A.E. Staley Company changed the face and future of Decatur when it arrived there in the 1900s and began processing corn and soybeans. In creating Staley's Manufacturing Corporation, the founder, Augustus Eugene Staley, saw Decatur garner the title soybean capital as the company developed procedures that maximized production and increased the work of experimenting with soy cultivation, farm machines manufacturers, and railroads. Staley's processing plant was the first of its kind in America. The growth of Decatur continued after World War II as Caterpillar opened a major plant in Decatur when the company was expanding in the 1950s. The Decatur facility became one of the major locations for the mining and construction equipment divisions of Caterpillar Incorporated. Decatur's ADM, or Archer Daniels Midland Company, became the largest linseed oil processor in 1923. The company later diversified into processing grain in 1929, among other products throughout the years, such as quality foods, feed ingredients for livestock, alternative fuel, and environmentally safe alternative chemicals. These companies continue to provide employment for Decatur citizens into the 21st century. Reaping the benefits of local agriculture and blue-collar workers, these businesses have been able to thrive in the industry-dependent society of Decatur, Illinois. Decatur became known for its grain production, with livestock becoming a sizable side business. By the start of the Civil War, Decatur farmers were doing more than making a living. They were making profit. Decatur became a center for banking and agricultural technology. In the years leading up to the 1950s, the power of horses gave way to tractors and combines. Farmers built and operated an array of labor-saving inventions. The hog wringer and corn row checker were Decatur made. The corn produced became a major staple for capital in the city. This money subsequently financed Decatur's rural growth. The energy and ingenuity of local farmers made and continue to make Decatur an agricultural center for the world. By the 20th century, Decatur public schools were highly efficient and modern, led by nationally recognized educator E.A. Gastman. Decatur's schools served as a focal point for the community. Millikan University, Decatur's only four-year college, distinguished the city when it was founded in 1903. Millikan continued to bask in the national spotlight after President Theodore Roosevelt participated in its dedication that same year. James Millikan, the founder, made a vow to found an institution of learning to prepare youth for occupations. Millikan continues to educate individuals into the modern time. Richland Community College, Decatur's other institution for post-secondary education, was founded in 1971. Self-education became available through the books provided by the Decatur Public Library. In 1867, a small group of women called the Ladies' Library Association inspired the birth of the Decatur Free Public Library in 1875. May 1901, the library board purchased the site for $15,000 from a grant given by steel entrepreneur Andrew Carnegie. As the library grew, the need for a new building arose, and in 1999, the library was moved to its current location on Franklin Street. These educational facilities provided Decatur with high educational standards throughout the 20th century, standards that began to decline at the turn of the century, along with other institutions that had previously defined Decatur as a town of growth and prosperity. Beginning in the 1970s, growth in Decatur began to decline as globalization and automation stunted local growth. The increased construction and the advancements of neighboring towns caused Decatur to lose its population to Forsyth, Maroa, and Mount Zion. Citizens were attracted to the new streets and subdivisions provided by these nearby communities, along with their upgraded school systems. The population of Decatur dwindled further as major industries began to close due to the regressing condition of Decatur. The closure of companies such as Wagner Castings, a metal parts industry for automobiles and other utilities, Borg Warners, a radiator and conditioning industry, and Firestone, an acclaimed tire company, left many unemployed. This high unemployment resulted in an unprecedented poverty level of over 20% for the formerly prosperous town. Reduced industry led to the downfall of secondary businesses that had been reliant on the work they provided, including the Decatur railroads and local family-owned shops and facilities. Decaturrites had to rely heavily on the remaining industries, ADM, Staley's, Caterpillar, and Mueller for employment. Those that could not find work sought opportunities elsewhere. Agriculture remained an important part of Decatur economics through the high demand administered by ADM. Richland Community College contributed to this demand as well, playing a key role in bringing the Farm Progress Show to Decatur. The Farm Progress Show, conducted annually, displays innovations in agriculture while bringing business into town. Decreasing population, combined with low funds, forced the Decatur School District to shut down several local schools, such as Mound Middle School, Sunnyside Elementary, and Lakeview High School. Poor funding and budget hurt many school programs, especially in the sport and music departments. The variety of classes offered at schools began to decrease as staff was cut back and budget materials were restricted. The two remaining public high schools, MacArthur and Eisenhower, began to lose enrollment and suffer from lower educational standards. Several times in recent years, these local high schools failed to meet adequate yearly progress requirements, prompting a series of educational reforms. Moving forward, the Decatur School District has begun reconstructing its high school facilities to better serve the purpose of learning in the future. Extending past the schools, renovations are being made across Decatur in hopes of becoming more appealing to future and present citizens and businesses. Today, Decatur is home to over 75,000 residents. Established in the early 19th century, Decatur has undergone many changes, as it has transitioned from prosperity to poverty throughout the 20th century. A town abundant with vast history and growth, Decatur, Illinois, with the strength of its roots, moves forward with a resolution of stability and ambition for the future.